What's up everybody, we back at it again with another Magnum Quest video, and this one, oh baby, I'm going to be looking at my first tier list for this game that I made within around 2 to 3 months of playing, then toss it to the side for this new, improved, latest tier list, and I think this is going to be the standard till new heroes or buffs and nerfs happen, so let's get it. So this video is going to be my new main channel video because I've completely shifted my focus to mainly focusing on Magnum Quest. I might throw a random video in here or there from 2 of the other games I play, but I have a lot of ideas for MQ, so if you're enjoying this game, starting out, or just want to listen to my MQ talks, stick around, consider hitting that sub. It costs you nothing, supports myself, and it helps me know I'm doing something right. Timestamps will be available in this video, but due to the length I feel it's going to be, I'm only going to be focusing on the S+ and S tier because I like to go into detail behind my reasoning. I feel this works better instead of me just showing you what I made and be done with it. I will release the remaining tiers A, B, and C very soon, early this week, to complete the breakdown. I'm honestly scared to see what my old tier list image looks like because it's been quite a while. So this is what my tier list I made for this game was. I did my best for what I had to test with. I just looked over the skills for the other heroes to make my judgment. And now let's put up the new improved tier list beside it right somewhere on the screen around here. So if you just came here for the tier list, it will have a download link in the video description, but I suggest sticking around as I'll be highlighting all the S+ and S tier heroes in this video and explaining the main reason or reasons for their ranking. Also, there is a legend at the top right I made so I wouldn't have to make multiple tier lists. The white numbers equals the hero's boss ranking and the red numbers equals early game ranking. This tier list is focused mostly on mid and late game. Okay, so my old tier list, I mean, the S+ category isn't too bad. I mean, Aloe and S tier, yikes. I mean, this is the biggest issue I can see with the S tiers. I mean, yeah, Carlotta and Oryx should be down some tiers, but this was also when we didn't have a lot of the heroes we have now. A and B tiers look like it's a complete disaster. Looking at Cinia, Amelia in the B tier. So Cinia was introduced into this game pretty early. I must have forgot that because in my demon videos, I thought she wasn't in the game yet when I completed level 10. Sometimes my memory works with me, sometimes it doesn't, but it always seems to work perfectly when it comes to food. I don't know if anyone else has this issue. Alright, so let's swipe this nonsense out of the way and focus on the latest tier list. S+ tier, the must-haves, the god tier. If you don't have these heroes, you will be at a disadvantage in the game 100%. You may not see it starting out, you may not understand why, but I'm telling you these heroes are what you need. So now I'll just list the main reason or reasons for their ranking. So Ares, he's got amazing damage, amazing survivability. However, this is most noticeable once level 201 due to the level 3 of his ultimate giving the leech effect. So when he uses Endless Fury skill, he's immune to damage and CC, so he can heal that right back up. Melee DPS heroes in this game have a hard time surviving, but his skill kit eliminates this issue. So Harry, he's a newly added hero to the game and will most likely be the staple for all bosses and a huge asset to have in all of the PvE content due to his ultimate giving attack plus haste buff. Haste is huge in this game, increasing attack speed so your heroes are able to build up their energy to reach those ultimates faster. Sir, I mean, she's half dragon with a baby dragon by her side, and her hero model lives up to what you expect a dragon to be, badass. Her whole skill kit is what makes her at this spot. She's got damage, she can buff your team's attack, she can tank, she can heal, she's got it all. Now, Ione, she makes whatever team you're using top tier. I mean, this is a little over the top. I mean, if you're using under-leveled heroes, under-starred heroes, under-geared heroes, less than good heroes, her skill kit is only going to allow them to revive and then just instantly die again. However, if you pair her up with a strong progression formation, her Vine to the Rescue skill, allowing your heroes to take fatal damage, then get them some heals, and return to the fight is a game changer. She's also got some nice CC with her Entangle effect, which is on a couple of her skills, which renders the enemies unable to move or attack. Moving down to the S tier, these heroes are used very often. They're very good, but they're just not at that S+ level. So Kados, he looks awesome. His ultimate silences the enemy team for 6 seconds, plus reduces energy. 6 seconds is a long time. This gives you free reign to control the fight and potentially be what you need to win if timed correctly. And his skill, Searing Whip to Hell, can execute enemies depending on if when he dies, the HP is less than 50%. Two game changer moves right here, and the only reason I place him at S, not S plus, is most of you will be focusing on Sir, and she's more versatile in all aspects of the game. Cinia, you'll see her everywhere in bosses, more so specifically Awakened Demons. The reason I didn't bump her rating to S plus as boss ranking is because she's in situational formations. She's not a must-have, but she's still very useful. She's mostly used with certain backlines like with Ekra and Sir, or with a frontline hero like Arthur, so he can constantly put up his shields, increasing your team's survivability. Her ult distributes energy to everyone. She can apply the vulnerable effect, enemy takes more damage, buffs heroes with the highest attack, and protects the backline with reduced damage, gives them energy, and can block an attack. Now Ekra, she's the top queen with her ult doing AoE burn damage plus applying heal block that comes in very handy for high healing enemy stages that stack Alwyn or Naomi, etc. Again, very strong on bosses with the burn. Damage over time spells seem to be the way to go for this due to the length of the boss fights. So Gila or Hilla, however you want to pronounce, is another solid hero that I feel has two main mentions. Applies the poison effect, which then applies vulnerable effect for any enemies with this, and then they're going to take more damage. But what I use her for a lot, for like in certain campaign stages or dungeon tower, is for her ultimate. If her ultimate kills an enemy, that enemy's attack is distributed evenly to your team. I referred to this as an attack reset in one of my videos. It's not the same thing, my bad. Next we have Gaia, the first hero with 2 rankings. So if you started out been playing this game, I'm sure you've heard me or everyone else, whether on Discord or Facebook, say focus Gaia, getting her to max level 200 ASAP. Her ultimate gives attack, haste, and the leech buff. Paired that with her skill Gravel Catapult makes her autos do AoE damage. It's crazy damage output. So she's S plus as an early ranking, but this will slowly drop to S as you progress into mid/late game, which I think mid game is about chapter 12 to 13, and swap her out to focus more on Ares. However, she still can be utilized up until like chapters 19. So Issy, I've seen her put up some serious damage numbers. I personally don't have much experience with her as I'm still working on building mine up, but one of the interesting things here I find is she releases poison swarms but doesn't apply the poison effect. The Wild faction was lacking an intelligence-based DPS, so she will be, I think, most used in the Wild Dungeon faction tower. Her main draw to me is her ultimate. The swarms reduces the enemy's attack and energy because she is releasing swarms left and right due to all her skills. This becomes AoE, so this is a really nice debuff for the whole enemy team, plus helps stack her damage. Naomi, you may not be using her a lot right now starting out, but as you progress, you will start facing some really annoying teams. Let's say like 2 Arthurs or 2 Ares. And if you're facing a level 200 plus enemy Ares, you know he can be an issue, and then add another on top of that. There's been plenty of times I get excited because I took down one of them, only to realize the other one is just healing right back up to full HP and one-shotting my entire team. So Naomi has 2 very useful skills. Her first one is her ultimate, Dragonfall. This applies the disperse effect. This means it removes all buffs from them unless states otherwise. So if you time this correctly, soon as Ares takes the fatal damage and pops his Endless Fury, you click her ultimate so it removes this, and then Ares will just die because he has no HP. Same idea for Arthur, except for his shields. Soon as you notice Arthur uses ultimate and the enemies gain the shield, you click her ultimate and then it will remove it. The other skill is her Spiritual Leader, which buffs your team but has better buffs for the wild heroes. This is really good for an endgame boss formation, one that takes advantage of all wild heroes. I mentioned previously in a video for what I suggest, but it's more for like early mid, early late, and I've soon come to find stronger ones, which I'll post in a video this week. So now Cyan, this Razzle Dazzle bug, is newly introduced and was 100% needed as the Forest faction lacked severe DPS besides Fi. You will know the struggle eventually in the Forest faction dungeon tower, having a weak Fi or not having either of them. 2 things to mention here is his ultimate Mantis Abduction, removes an enemy from the battlefield, more so on non-boss PvE content or PvP. If he doesn't kill the enemy during the abduction, the enemy is brought back but cannot receive healing. It's a really neat skill that can cause some enemy disruption. The other is he has a bleed effect. As I've mentioned with previous heroes like Ekra and Gila or Hilla, however you want to pronounce, Dot's damage over time effects are awesome on bosses, and all of his skills can apply this, especially useful with his skill Mantis Saber, where when he stacks his bleed, the target's attack is lowered, which is great for bosses. damage taken is increased, and loses energy while transferring that lost energy to Cyan. Now we got Amelia, the girl kissed by the god of nature. She's super useful hero here for two things. First is her enchantment of the wind skill, the main reasoning for her ranking. It gives surrounding allies haste. Any hero that can give haste is always going to be a top priority on my list. Second is her skill Goose Trick. Depending on RNG luck with what enemy is turned into a goose, applying the vulnerable effect, so taking more damage, can be huge. Once going back to the original form, enemy's attack is reduced. She'll be used a lot alongside Fi in the Dungeon Forest Faction Tower for just a crazy amount of haste buffs. Now we have Fair. He's the second hero with an additional ranking. The reason for the S plus is paired with Gaia or Ares, but mostly Gaia at the beginning of the game, is such a huge progression boost due to being able to group up the enemies so Gaia can take them down. Keep in mind this S plus is only if you're using Gaia or Ares, otherwise both rankings can drop. The only reason to mention about Fair is his skill Fatal Attraction, which pulls in enemies to group them up. This has a lot to do with hero positioning and the enemy's formation, so you may have to tinker with where you're placing them on the battlefield. So that either your Ares, Gaia, or both, depending on how your formation is, can have an easier time making use of their strong AoE damage skills, rather than them being spread out and maybe Ares only spinning on one enemy rather than 3 or 4. So now Fi, I feel many will say he deserves the S plus spot, but there is formations that can still do well without utilizing him due to the hero pool getting bigger and bigger and more heroes giving the haste buff. Same idea as Amelia. The main reason for his ranking is due to his skill Scurry. Allies gain haste at the beginning of the fight. He will be one of your top damagers like Cyan in the Forest Faction Dungeon Tower, but he requires investment. Gear, Ascension Stars, Star Map to really shine. If so, then with his skill Wind Guardian, because when it reaches max stacks of the self-haste buff, he gains an attack boost. This is where his DPS is really going to skyrocket. Now Shishi, you're going to hate being against her in the campaign, as it's the same reasoning for her ranking. Her skill Variations applies the Confine effect to the enemy with the highest attack. They cannot be attacked, or attack, and after the duration is over, they get the Weaken effect, which reduces their damage output. This will be a very frustrating skill to deal with in campaign, but my suggestion to you is if you have Ares or Gaia, or whoever you have as your main DPS carry, is just getting CC'd all the time, to swap or remove some gear till you have less important heroes surpass them in attack, so this is going to allow you to bypass this skill. She can also give the haste buff to your allies with the highest attack. Haste is basically what GPUs were, or might still be now. I remember trying to get my hands on an RTX 3000 series card since like last October, and eventually I just gave up because of the crypto mining, the scalping, etc. I wasn't really able to get one. They were sold out everywhere. Unless I wanted to pay 2 times or 3 times the price, then I could, but like no one wants to do that. So if you find a hero, a rune, or gear set with haste, it's going to be top priority. The other skill is her ultimate, which applies the Sedate effect, basically AoE sleep with the vulnerable effect, taking more damage, amazing CC hero to make the fight go in your favor. And finally, the last hero in the S tier list, Durla. Durla is going to be your Shadow Faction everything. She can damage, she can heal, she can tank, she can CC, definitely should be your main focus for that faction. The main reasons here is for her ultimate, it does AoE damage, translating the damage to HP. However, she is kind of slow to build up to her ultimate skill, and if she doesn't, she's most likely going to die. So you're going to want to pair her with a haste hero, or whenever you unlock runes, to grab that energy rune. Besides that, she gains attack and defense based off the enemy dead units, as well as an enemy haste debuff. Hopefully this tier list you agree with, because I really wanted to do this right. I spent a lot of time on this. I wanted to make sure I got others' opinions, as you can see the credits at the top of the image from other experienced players. You probably have seen their names in the Discord. Super nice players and always helping out. There are a lot of tier lists out there. Some are good, some are yikes. So I wanted to try and give a general tier list focusing on mid/late game. Whether you just came for the image and left, or you stuck through the whole video to see my reasoning, I appreciate everything. I love this game and I'm glad to see more do as well. As always, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Let's blow this thing up. Subscribe for future videos and stay tuned for the next one.